The president also discussed a major story of the day. The Department of Justice is dropping its criminal case against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The retired Army general pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about discussions he had with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. in the weeks before President Trump took office. The Justice Department says it is dropping the case because of, quote, newly discovered and disclosed information. President Trump called Flynn a, quote, warrior after hearing his case had been dropped. The president said last week he would even consider bringing Flynn back into the West Wing. For more on this, let's bring in CBSN legal contributor and former federal prosecutor Keir Dougall. Keir, welcome. First off, why did the Justice Department come to this decision now?
Hi, Tanya. I think that the Justice Department here in particular, the Attorney General, who I'm quite certain was the decider here, made this decision, I fear, to directly assist the president's personal interests. When I read the justification for why the charges have been dropped, I am perplexed and surprised. The claim is that it was unjustified and not tethered to or predicated by the FBI's counterintelligence investigation. The problem with that theory is that that's not all that the FBI does. Of course, it investigates domestic violations of criminal law in addition to doing counterintelligence investigations. And this prosecution was brought by, of course, Robert Mueller's special prosecutor's office, and he was directly charged with investigating links between the Trump campaign and administration and the Russians. We know that General Flynn admitted under oath in his plea allocution, where he testified what he did that was wrong. He said that he lied about his contacts with the Russians, making his particular conduct directly relevant to the remit, the scope of authority that Mueller had, and in addition, his criminal conduct by telling a lie, or the criminal investigation of that conduct, was directly within the FBI's overall authority to investigate domestic federal crimes.
And Keir, in its filing today, the Department of Justice condemned the FBI's handling of Flynn's case. And I do want to point out that former FBI Director James Comey recently tweeted out saying the DOJ has lost its way. But what specifically did the Justice Department claim the FBI did wrong?
Well, the claim is that there wasn't appropriate predication, and it's based upon the supposition that the FBI's from what I can tell, now, I want to be clear, it's a 108-page filing. I have not had an opportunity to read it word for word. But what it says, certainly in its overall thrust, is that the FBI's investigation wasn't predicated on properly on a counterintelligence investigation. I think the dispute that those of us who watch the Justice Department may have with that theory is that the FBI is not limited. It's not so narrowly limited to conducting investigations. It is specifically empowered to investigate conduct, allegations of crimes, of federal crimes that are domestic crimes. Lying to the FBI is one of those things which is absolutely within the daily meat and potatoes work of the FBI. It's something that is, if that's not predicated, then the FBI can't do anything. You know, the way I read this is that the FBI is being... Tanya, I would say the FBI is being criticized for doing its job. And I understand why Jim Comey is concerned. I'm concerned about the independence of the department. This has all the appearances of doing a favor for President Trump who clearly has been an advocate for Mr. Flynn, regardless of your views of his conduct. And this allows President Trump to avoid having to make a politically charged decision about whether to pardon General Flynn.
So, Keir, to keep with that train of thought, what type of precedent do you think this DOJ decision might set going forward? And do you see it having ramifications for other cases?
Well, I hope that it doesn't set a precedent, but I fear that it will. Look, the circumstances here are unique. The charges arose out of a special prosecutor's having been put in place. Ordinarily, crimes are prosecuted by one of our, U.S. attorneys in our multiple districts. So I'm hoping that there is a way to distinguish this case and make it unique on its particular facts. I worry that defendants all over the country now will be looking to see whether or not they can make an argument that what should be an ordinarily predicated and well-founded case isn't so. This may spawn a number of challenges about the FBI's or the U.S. Attorney's Office's predication in more general run-of-the-mill cases. But the larger precedent that I fear is being set is that if you're the friend or the patron of the president, that you can receive special treatment from the Justice Department, which I think can have broad, damaging implications for the rule of law and the independence of law enforcement in our country. I'm very concerned about that today.
All right. Well, Keir Dougall, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your legal expertise with us today.